DJ, it's fantastic to see you today. I've been looking forward to the conversation here. I've been talking with Todd a couple weeks ago about the work that you've been doing at Shopper Approved with Q&A, question and answers, and some of the really cool results you're seeing for your own website and for some of your customers. And he said, you are the man to speak to about Q&A. So I said, all right, let's do this. So I'm excited to dig in, learn more about what you're doing. And I think there's going to be a lot of value that those watching this conversation can extract as well. So to kick things off, for anyone who's watching who's not familiar with Shopper Approved or with you personally, would you mind just giving a brief intro?
Yeah, thanks, John. It's a real pleasure to be here, by the way. And obviously, I just watched the interview you did with Michael Cottam, who's a friend and hero of mine, and I'm glad to hear that he's also kind of a friend and hero of yours. But in any case, so I've been around in the marketing, advertising, PR, sales industry for 35 years. Started out in sales with Eastman Kodak, and then migrated into their marketing department, and been in marketing and advertising ever since. Started out obviously in analog, TV, radio, print, direct mail, outdoor, etc. Ended up starting my own agency. And from there, migrated into digital back in 1999. So kind of going back. Been in digital in one fashion or another ever since. Started really getting into SEO in 2008. In 2009, 2010, I wrote a book on digital marketing, SEO, which I haven't published yet because when I went to publish it, I realized that some of those tools had already gone out of business. Squidoo, for example, was a great tool that Seth Godin created, and it was a really powerful link building tool and search optimized asset, etc. So in any case, I rewrote it in 2015. Didn't publish it again, but I am going to publish that one of these days and finish updating it. But in any case, been around the SEO, CRO, digital marketing, content, blogging, lead gen, traffic driving, web design development space forever. Recently got into behavioral design, also known as behavioral science or behavioral economics, and really understanding the psychology of persuasion and the psychology of influence, which of course Dr. Robert Cialdini kind of pioneered back in 1984 when he published his first book, Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion, and actually just became a Cialdini certified coach. So that's exciting, and I've really been using that science to develop new tools for our company, and we're showing some great success with that. So that's a new endeavor and very, very exciting. How we're driving conversion for our clients using behavioral science.
That's awesome. That's one of the things I love about being in the marketing and advertising space is figuring out how do people work, how do their brains work, how can you share those messages that are compelling and not manipulate behavior per se, but
Right.
work with that understanding of human behavior. I'm really excited to hear more about all of this and the FAQ and Q&A side of things. So before we get into maybe some of the specifics of the feature that you guys are using right now at Shopper Approved, can you walk me through some of that history of Q&A and how you got to the point where you're at right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, back in 2008, when I was really getting more tactically involved in SEO, I read about this idea around creating a glossary of terms and FAQ. And this is 2008, before the helpful content update, before Google's EAT recommendations, etc. And so I was recommending this to my clients, and it worked really, really well because even back then, people were going to Google and Bing and Yahoo and whatever search engine they were using at the time, looking for answers to questions. They had a question and they were going to the web to find the answer. So back then, of course, we had static FAQ, which was brand generated content. Here is a frequently asked question about our product or our category or what have you, and here is the brand generated answer. It was static, it was not dynamic, it was not really searchable, and it wasn't even necessarily search optimized, other than the fact that Google was scraping and indexing it, but it certainly wasn't using structured citations and whatnot. And glossary of terms, the same thing. What does this mean? Think about WebMD, right? Think about any of those types of websites, Wikipedia, right? Answers to questions. Who is John Doe? When was John Doe born? Where does John Doe live? What was John Doe's first movie? What was John Doe's first book, etc.? And so people are just looking for answers. And that's really one of the primary reasons, beyond funny cat videos and funny baby videos, why they're going to Google. And so even back then, FAQ and glossary of terms was a powerful SEO and engagement tool to increase time on page, reduce bounce rate, create authority, create expertise. Because if you can provide the answers to those questions, whether it be a glossary or FAQ, then obviously you're one of the top 1%ers, right? So then looking at the difference between FAQ and Q&A, because a lot of people kind of mix those up or think they're the same thing. Actually, they're quite different. So FAQ technically is static. It provides a single answer to a single question. It's typically not interactive or searchable. And it typically doesn't have structured content for search. And typically, the business provides all the questions to the answers, what we call BGC, business generated content. There's really not a community component. It's typically not searchable. It certainly isn't using AI or advanced functionality. Q&A, on the other hand, will provide multiple answers to a single question. And the cool thing about that is that by providing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 answers to a single question, you're giving not only the shopper or the consumer the opportunity to see multiple angles to that question, but you're giving Google multiple targets to hit. And obviously, the more targets you give Google to hit, the more opportunities you have to appear on page 1. And what we have found is not only appearing on page 1, but grabbing that featured snippet position, also known as position 0, grabbing 1 or 2 or more, people also ask, and also grabbing some of the top organic listings. So we can see, for example, that on certain search queries, we have the featured snippet, we have people also ask, and 2 or 3 organic positions on page 1, therefore creating a search domination strategy, that I call it. And when you dominate page 1 with multiple answers to a question, you're obviously the authority. You're obviously going to get the vast majority, if not all the clicks and all the traffic. And people come to your website now kind of predisposed, thinking, okay, these guys have their act together. These guys are thinking about the consumer-centric. They're authentic, they're transparent, they're providing those answers to the questions that I have about a product, a brand, a category, a competitor, whatever the case may be. The other thing about Q&A is it's interactive and searchable. If the Q&A is set up properly, you can have the community providing answers to questions. We call that UGC, user-generated content, as well as experts, or EGC, expert-generated content. It's search optimized. It has a dedicated subfolder for each question and answer, and it has structured content for featured snippets, people also ask, etc. And of course, in today's world, for example, our Q&A tool does all that, but it also provides AI-assisted content. So it'll tell you what people are searching for in Google around your brand, product, category. It'll scrape your manuals, help docs, user docs, product spec sheets, etc., looking for answers to questions. And it'll also scrape the marketplaces, looking for existing questions and answers about your products. So those are some of the differences between FAQ and Q&A. FAQ is great, but it's not Q&A. And I think, honestly, all of your current FAQ should be converted to a dynamic, searchable, search-optimized Q&A platform, and not rely on kind of the old school FAQ, which worked great in its day. Does that answer your question, John?
Oh, 100%. And I can definitely, I can relate from firsthand experience to the value of those featured snippets. So here at Stub Group, we had some content about, should I create one Google Ads account or multiple Google Ads accounts if I have multiple websites? And we got a featured snippet for our blog post about that. And we saw our traffic just spike related to that because, like you said, people search for that question. And instead of just seeing, the 10 blue links with the featured snippet, they see this big section that already starts to answer their question, has directly the text from the blog post there, and like you said, it's a massive credibility element, and most people are going to click on that first rather than scrolling past that to hope they get the answer in one of those other 10 blue links.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at Dean Backlinko, his research shows that the featured snippets typically get about 35% of the clicks. Organic position one, about 26% of the clicks. So if you can get one or both of those, if you think about trust and credibility and authority, I think we all automatically, intuitively believe and think that whatever Google serves up on page one, especially at the top of page one, is going to be the most authoritative, accurate, credible, best answer, right? And that's why obviously those search positions get the majority of the clicks, because Google's basically saying, I vote for this content. And it's kind of that social proof or expert proof vis-a-vis Google saying, this is probably your best answer. And most people click on that. And, case in point, what you experience, you get more traffic, more clicks, et cetera, because Google is saying, this is the best answer to that question, or this is the best content related to that search.
Yeah, 100%. Have you seen any examples where customers who are using this tool have been able to capture a featured snippet even when their competitors maybe have way higher, domain authority, or they're much bigger? Are they is there a way that you can steal that spot from a competitor?
That's a great question. Yes, absolutely. I'll tell you an example. This is a true life story just with us. So we've been selling Q&A for a couple of years now, and we've pretty much positioned it and sold it as a product level question and answer feature, right? Does it come in blue? Is it made out of aluminum? Is it waterproof? How long do the batteries last? Right? All the typical product questions and answers. Now those are very, very, very low funnel, very granular, very specific, true long tail search terms, right? You're not going to have a lot of search traffic for that necessarily. But when people do ask that question in Google and you come up with that answer in feature snippet, you own it, right? So we have one client, for example, that sells products for the RV industry. And they have found that when they provide that answer to a product-related question and it shows up in search, they get a 75% conversion rate, which...
Seriously?
Seriously. So doing some research, Amazon Prime members convert at 74%. So this guy's beating Amazon Prime by 1 basis point. And now, as we know, the average product page converts at about 8%. The average universal website traffic converts at about 2 to 3%, right? But once they get to a product page, it's usually around 7 or 8%. So here's a guy converting at the product page level at 75%, beating out the Amazon average of 74% for Prime members. So that's just crazy. So that's one example of how this can really create that trust, that authority, that credibility. And the bottom line is look, if you took the time to provide that quality answer to a product question, people are going to see you as the authority. And they're not going to start searching all over again to save a couple bucks. It's like, this company gets it, I'm in, let's go, right? I'm not going to spend another 20, 30 minutes trying to save $1 or $2. So you can basically play on a different plane outside of let's just be the cheapest and race to the bottom and go out of business because we've eroded our margin trying to beat everybody by a buck, right? That is not the way to win the buy. The way to win the buy is create more trust, more credibility, more expertise, more authority, more information, more helpful resources. Gee, the Google helpful content update. Google Eat, right? It's all about, I mean, Google's telling us, provide helpful content to people's questions. And that's what we're looking for. That's what we as consumers, that's what we as Google are looking for. Provide helpful content. And that's how you win the day. And that's really what EAT is all about. The double EAT now: experience, expertise, authority, and trust. If you can address all four of those: experience, expertise, authority, and trust, and answer the question through helpful content, done.
That makes perfect sense. Basically viewing our differentiator, like you said, it's not necessarily price or free shipping, but our differentiator is helpful education content, and that's why people are gonna get to you initially and then choose you over somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have three different kinds of buyers. We have minimizers, we have satisficers, and we have maximizers. So minimizers, they will buy the cheapest thing to save a penny, and they'll spend 3 days looking, to save a penny. But they're a minority. And then you've got satisficers who are just looking for reasonable price, save time, give me the trust signals that say you're a trustworthy site and a trustworthy product, and I'm good. I don't need to spend 3 days trying to save a penny. And then you have the maximizers who are looking for the very best product, the very best, most feature-rich, high-quality product. They're the ones that are buying the designer clothes and the expensive European import cars and whatnot, because they want to have the very best. They're a minority. The vast majority of people are satisficers. They're just looking for, give me a reasonable product, a reasonable price, and show me that you're trustworthy, and I'm good. I don't want to waste any more time, beating this thing to death, right? Does that kind of ring true for you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's really what we're trying to do is really capture those satisficers that just want a good answer to their pain, their question, their concern, and give them a reasonable price, and they're good to go.
If I'm a business owner, I want to capture more of those satisficers using Q&A. What kind of work, what kind of process is entailed to actually get it set up on the website and then start generating that content?
Let's talk about what a power user might do with Q&A. First of all, like anything, there's not a set it and forget it. You've got to be proactive and aggressive. You want to publish new questions and answers daily. Ideally, 3 to 5, 7, 10, depending on the size of your company and your team and your resources. Be publishing new content daily, because that's going to tell Google, for example, that you are a fresh, relevant, current site. You're constantly publishing, and the more you publish, frequency, the more often they're going to crawl and index your content. So instead of waiting 30 days to get indexed and have something show up, maybe, if you're publishing daily, then Google's going to see that you're really an active site, like a Wikipedia, like a WebMD, etc. You're authoritative. So there's one. Don't rely on just answering the question that shoppers are asking. Also create your own questions and answers. Survey your sales team, your support team, your on-page search feature. Look at every aspect of your business and everybody that has ever talked to or does talk to your customers and prospects, and ask them, what are the common questions, concerns, problems, issues that people have, and answer those. A lot of people rely on chatbots to do this, but really, how many people like chatbots? There's always a delay. You've got to put in your question. You've got to wait for an answer. It's not always the best answer. A lot of times it's a very generic answer. And then you start over again, and then you start over again, and you give up. So, chatbots aren't necessarily the ultimate. If you have a Q&A tool that people can just go in there and search for the question, and there's the answer, it's instantaneous. And you don't have to wait for that time delay for somebody to get on chat, or even an automated AI-driven chatbot, again, which may not be the right answer. So there's that. Create Q&A at every stage of the funnel or the buyer journey, including the category-related questions, the brand-related questions, competitive comparisons and pros and cons, product-related and service-related questions and answers, Don't just look at it as a product level tool. Look at it as a category, a brand, an industry tool. Because again, if you look at that conversion funnel or that buyer journey, people are starting way at the top. What's the best birthday present for a 5-year-old boy? What's the best solution for this? What's the best aftermarket product for that? What's the best option to this? And they're not even thinking brands. They're not thinking sellers. They're not thinking product specific. They're thinking category. They're thinking concept. And if you look back at Google's decoding decisions research that came out in 2020, I'm sure you're familiar with that, decoding decisions, making sense of the messy middle. One of the search modifiers that they have of their 5 is ideas for and best, right? What are ideas for this solution, problem, pain point? And what are the best options, solutions, ideas, etc.? Very high level, right? So if you can think of Q&A in the sense of where do people start, then where do they go, and where do they finish? And think about the questions and answers throughout that entire journey. You're going to win the day. And of course, you want to use a Q&A tool like ours that is search optimized so that those actually appear in the featured snippets and appear on page 1 of Google search results. So there's one. And then, of course, you want to be transparent and authentic. You want to get uncomfortable. You want to address the elephant in the room, those questions that nobody else is answering. Around pricing, around what's the best fit? When is it not the best fit? What are the questions I should be asking around this product or category? Who are the competitors in the space? Have you ever heard of Marcus Sheridan? He wrote the book, They Ask You Answer.
I have not.
Okay, he's a great guy. He wrote a book, They Ask You Answer. He's kind of a HubSpot poster child, and he built his business by answering those difficult questions that nobody else in his industry was answering. It was the pool business, and by answering those tough questions and addressing the elephant in the room, he not only got all the search traffic, he got the authority and the trust and the credibility, which drove conversions.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So you also want to, aggregate again all the common questions being asked from people in your company. Think like Google. We all have heard of think with Google, but think like Google. What are people really trying to solve? What are they really trying to get solutions to? Again, think EAT. Think helpful content update. Because Google's telling us right there, it's about helpful content. It's not about hyperbole and self-puffery and we're the biggest and we're the best and we're the greatest and all that stuff. People see right through that, and so does Google. So be authentic, be transparent, be honest, address that elephant. That's a really important mindset to get that trust and credibility and authority, which drives traffic and conversions. Also, we could do a whole nother deep dive on this, but use Q&A to create a topical sitemap where you tie together the short Q&A with your authoritative pillar or cluster content and the product pages. This is also a great deep linking strategy. And this is what we have found gives us multiple results on page 1 by creating that topical sitemap and tying together the topically related pillar and cluster content and product pages along with that short 40 to 60 word Q&A answer. I call Q&A a sprint, and I call blog content a marathon, right? So you can run a sprint very quickly with Q&A. And I'll give you an example, and this is fact. When we started using Q&A on our website, I would publish a question and answer on a Thursday. By Monday, we're in the featured snippet without backlinks, without page authority, without domain authority, right? Yes, we have domain authority on the root domain,
Sure.
But we certainly don't have page authority because each question and answer is its own separate subfolder. And we're beating out major companies, we're beating out G2 and Capterra and GetApp and these very authoritative sites that have been around for a long time comparing products and categories, right? So it's been absolutely short of a miracle that we can take a 40 to 60 word answer without any backlinks or any content promotion whatsoever, and within literally less than a week, be in the featured snippet, or at the very least on page 1. And to be honest, we've been trying the old school way of blogs to do that. And yeah, we get a page 2, but we've never grabbed the featured snippet using the traditional blog methodology. Now, when we create that topical sitemap where we tie in the blog content and the product page and the Q&A with the deep linking back and forth, it's killer. It's absolutely killer. So I think that answers your question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. To kind of visualize this linking, are you saying you will put, let's say, you'll have a Q&A, and then you'll put a link as part of that answer to a blog post that has, more extensive answer, and then vice versa? Do you link from the blog post back to the Q&A, or what does that look like?
Vice versa. Yeah, you can vice versa. And that's exactly right. So in the Q&A, you can have a hypertext link from a keyword linking out to a blog article. And then also within our Q&A tool, you can designate a product that addresses that question, problem, concern, pain point, what have you. So for example, one of our products is seller ratings. So in a seller-related question and answer, we will link to seller ratings. In a product review question and answer, we'll link to product reviews. For an SEO-related question and answer, we will link to product reviews, seller ratings, video reviews, and Q&A, because they all drive organic search. Or for a click-through question and answer, same thing. They all drive click-through rate. They all drive conversion. They all drive SEO. So if you're talking about click-through rate, SEO, or conversion, we can tie in multiple products because they all address those questions or those concerns or pain points. So that's kind of that topical mini sitemap, I call it. And it really helps string all that content together in the page 1 search results, because now Google can say, well, here's the quick answer in the featured snippet. Here's a long answer we're going to put in people also ask. Here's another long answer we're going to put in organic position 2. And here's a product page we're going to put in position 5, right? For example. So again, that's that page domination, search page domination strategy that really works very well.
And then, of course, when you partner with a Google Ads agency like Stub Group, you can get your ad on there as well and just continue that capture and keep your competitors out of the ad space as well.
Bingo. You can absolutely. In fact, we've got a client that uses PPC to drive paid traffic to their Q&A. So you can get the paid, you can get the organic, right? And again, creating that authority, that trust, that credibility, and of course, win the day with the traffic and conversions. But you're absolutely right. You can literally use a Q&A as a paid ad. How does this work? Or who is the best? Or who is the top? Or who are the top 5? What are the top, solutions to this question or problem? You can win that all day long.
So kind of going back to what you mentioned of, be transparent and in your answers tell people who's not the right fit for this product. Are there types of websites that are not a good fit for this Q&A product?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're not going to be proactive, if you're just going to install it and ignore it, it's not going to do you, nearly as much good. Now, if you're a super high volume site and you've got enough organic traffic, where you've got a lot of people asking questions, yes, you can get a lot of organic questions. And if you also open it up, because you can toggle it, open it up for the community to answer those questions, you could literally put it on autopilot. Because if you have enough traffic, you'll have enough people asking questions, and you'll have enough people in the community answering those questions. Now, you can approve those answers and questions, because if it's obviously in left field or incorrect or not fully correct, what have you, then you don't want to approve it. You can modify it and make it correct, or make it the best answer versus a partial answer. What's the point of a partial answer, right? So you can do that. But if you're not a high volume site, you can't just set it and forget it. You really have to be proactive. So if you're not going into it with that mindset, you're just not going to get the results and the ROI that you could. I mean, the thing can be extremely beneficial in terms of driving ROI. But again, if you don't have the content, then what's it going to do for you? So, I recommend, this is what we did. we built up a spreadsheet by category of questions and answers. So here's all the questions and answers we could think of for seller ratings, for product reviews, video reviews, Q&A, SEO, PPC, CRO, shopper approved. Who is shopper approved? What is shopper approved? When should I use shopper approved? When should I not use shopper approved? Et cetera, et cetera. And then we uploaded that into Q&A, and this was April 4th of 2023, this year. And so that's less than 6 months ago. Since then, we've been adding 5 to 7 new questions and answers every day. Sometimes we'll do more. But just to give you an idea, since April 4th of this year, and it's now September 22nd, and we have increased our organic traffic by 300%, and we've increased our page 1 keywords by 900%. And we're talking featured snippets, people also ask, right? And that's only position 1 through 10. So I'm not even worried about page 2 because hardly anybody goes there. So let's only talk about page 1. 900% increase in keywords that are showing in page 1, and a 300% increase in traffic. And 58% of those keywords have commercial intent, and 8% have transactional intent. So, and the rest are search related. So, quality, it's been the best tool personally that I've ever used for SEO. But again, thinking strategically and thinking like Google, creating those topical sitemaps and tying in the authoritative content, whether it be a pillar article, whether it be a comparison article, a checklist, or a cluster piece, and of course a product page or many product pages. That's the kind of the hyper sauce, if you will, that really puts it on steroids and takes it to that next level. So there's lots of things you can do. There's other things you can do, John. One is just looking at your blog posts and looking at your H1s and your H2s and converting those into a question. So instead of making a statement, make it a question, and then answer that question in the first 40 to 60 words, short paragraph, and then go on to the next paragraph, etc. But by answering that question in that very first paragraph following that H1 or H2, you're not only providing something that's relevant and perfect for a featured snippet, but you're also providing the reader with a great user experience, because you're basically giving them a synopsis, a clear, concise, accurate, quick answer to the question. So if they want to continue reading, fine. If they don't want, and they're just skimmers like most people are, you've answered their question, and you've won a potential customer. You certainly created trust, and you certainly created a friend, because you didn't make them read 12 pages to figure out the answer to the question.
Right.
So there's that, and we also do that with product pages, turning your product description H2s into questions followed by an answer. So you're looking at basically, again, trying to create multiple targets for Google page 1. And you look at all your content, all your documentation, all your pages, product, blog, help docs, etc., and repurpose those. And then of course the Q&A tool, which works in relative lightning speed compared to everything else I've ever tried. Now, back in the day, with Squidoo, and back in the day with YouTube and Blogger and whatnot, things I was experimenting with back in the 2000s. Yeah, I could get on page 1 the following day, but let's face it, the world's different today. Back then you were getting thousands of new assets published a day. Today it's millions. So it doesn't happen overnight like it used to, but it can happen in a matter of days versus months.
Well, I'm sold, literally. We're in the process of getting this set up on stubgroup.com right now, and I'm really looking forward to leveraging it ourselves. And one of the things I've already really liked is the system sending emails with ideas, like, hey, people are searching for this thing that is relevant to you. You should write an answer about this. And that, I think, goes back to what you mentioned of the importance of, it's not set and forget it. You have to be regularly actually putting out content, and you've designed a system that tries to facilitate that, and and give ideas. So kudos for that as well.
Yeah, it's like the old days of blogging, right? If you get inside your audience's head, your buyer persona's head, and say, this is their lifestyle, this is the problems they're trying to solve, this is what they're trying to accomplish, and provide the content to help them address those issues, thinking like Google, then you're going to win. And it's just a matter of that cadence and that frequency, that velocity. But again, transparency, authenticity, credibility, accuracy, going back to EAT, because if Google says, oh, this is not coming from somebody with experience, expertise, authority, and trust, right? So I would definitely caution people about overusing AI, in the sense that I use AI a lot. We're testing a lot of different things. In fact, we're going to be coming out with some really cool tools. But AI, as you know, is not always 100% accurate. It's about 70 to 80%, right? So you've got to take that AI generated content and then edit it and polish it and make sure that it's your brand voice and it's accurate, it's credible. Because if it's giving people an inaccurate or a partial answer, what's the point? So, to me, it's kind of like, oh, let's hire, somebody fresh out of school and say, okay, use ChatGPT to write a bunch of blog articles, and then just post them. Oops.
Yeah, probably not going to be particularly helpful or build that trust.
Yeah, or expertise or accuracy, right? So you've got to make sure you've got an expert and authority, somebody with experience around that topic or product or category, to make sure, oh, that is actually the right, or it's a partial, or it's actually a wrong answer, or it's the wrong answer according to our products. It doesn't really work that way. So anyway, AI is great, and it'll certainly get you, most of the way. But if you just let it run and don't edit it and make sure it is accurate, it can also, send the wrong signal to your market and to Google.
That makes a lot of sense. Words to the wise. AI is a tool to be used strategically, but not a replacement for the experts. Awesome. Yeah. Well, DJ, I know you've got a plane to catch here soon, so I'm going to wrap this up. Really appreciate you taking the time to walk me and the viewers through what you guys are seeing, and what would be the best next step for someone who's watched this and said, yeah, sign me up, I want to learn more, I want to try this out. Where can they do that?
Yeah, they can go to shopperapproved.com and sign up for a demo, and we'll demonstrate the product for you, show you how it works, and away you go. I did want to leave you with a couple of little salient points, John, if I could.
Yeah. Yes, please.
One of our clients has increased organic traffic by 400% with Q&A. Another has increased their conversion rate by 497%. And of course, I told you about the site that's getting a 75% conversion rate when people engage with Q&A. That same client has doubled their customer LTV, lifetime value. Another site increased their organic click-through rate by 461%. And as I said before, in less than 6 months, we've increased our organic traffic by 300% and our page one keywords by 900%. So there's a lot of data points, and just on average, by the way, this is just a system-wide average, but 21% of all the questions and answers generated within the database ultimately generate at least one sale. So that's pretty wild.
That is impressive.
You're making an investment that is going to pay out. And of course, the more you do, the more you get engaged, the more you use the tool, and the more strategic you get with the tool, the better. And we're happy to work with people one-on-one, which I do all the time, to walk them through how to do this, how to optimize it, how to think strategically, create strategic content. I also advocate that you put Q&A on all of your web pages, not just your product pages, because again, people are going to have a category level question, they're going to have a company level question, competitive product, etc. So make sure you're thinking about the entire conversion path and not just granular bottom funnel product, questions. Does it come in does it have DC or AC power? Okay, that's great, wonderful. But again, think about the whole funnel.
What is the best generator? Who sells the best generators?
Yep. When should I use it? When is it a good fit? When is it not a good fit? What questions should I be asking around a generator? You know, what are the pros and cons? What are the best of class, etc.
Awesome. Well, I love it. DJ, thank you so much. We'll put a link to Shopper Approved and that free demo and everything we talked about here in the description of the video. And yeah, if anybody watching this, go check it out and leave a comment. Let us know, what are you seeing? I'd love to see some comments about how this is improving that organic traffic and conversion rates for people who are watching this. And until next time, thanks so much for your time watching, and we'll hit you next video.